Hi everyone. We were talking about today in class the Constitution. And if you get the chance to already watch my Show Me, you've already seen a couple parts about the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. How some of the people were against this new Constitution and some of the people were for this new Constitution. So, just as a quick review, what were the big differences? Anti-Federalists were scared of a strong government. They did not want a strong central government. What do I mean by central government? They didn't want one all-powerful government in charge. They'd already done the thing with the king. They had already gone through having King George III, no taxation without representation. They were scared of one all-powerful group. On the other hand, the Federalists had just seen what happened when you didn't have a strong government. We went through Shays' Rebellion. There was nobody in charge. There was nobody really to, what happens if two states disagree? They wanted somebody in charge, but they didn't want it to be a king. They were also really looking for some way to have a stronger central government for taxes, an army, something that was a little bit more cohesive than 13 separate states. On the flip side, the Anti-Federalists were really for state rights. Keep things at the state level. So far, this really seems kind of abstract. So there's people against the Constitution, there's people for the Constitution. It's going to really come into play when we start setting up things like the Bill of Rights. Where do people's rights fall? Is it the state that gives you the right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion? Or do we need a strong government to say you have these rights? To finally get many of the Anti-Federalists on board, we had to agree to a Bill of Rights, a set of rights that every American would have. When we go through the first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, we'll look at what rights Americans have. From Amendment number 1, the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. The right, I love this one, the right to petition the government for the redress of grievances. Okay. Federalists get what they want, a strong central government, a capital, Washington, D.C., a president, a court. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. Think to yourself, what do I have a question about? What might I not know? What do I need to ask Mr. Score tomorrow? A review of what we did today in class, we were talking about looking at, again, our townships. Where did townships come from? 6 miles. 6 miles. So, right here in our area, we have the town of Friendship. We looked at how this played out in the Midwest in states like Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And we started looking at our government, how this Constitution set the framework for who's going to be in charge. So 3 important words: judicial, legislative, and executive. I'm going to pause for about 10 seconds and I want you to think, what does each group do? Do you remember what each group does? Judicial, they decide if laws are legal. So that's the Supreme Court. That's their job. They decide if laws are constitutional, unconstitutional. The legislative branch, they make the laws. So whether it's Congress or whether it is the Wisconsin State Assembly, they're the group who makes the laws. And finally, the executive branch carries out the laws. The president cannot make a law. The governor cannot make a law. They get to decide if laws will be signed into effect, or they can veto laws. They cannot create a law. We then looked at kind of like some of the people that are in each of these branches. So depending on which class you're in, we might have even gotten to the names, from who's the president to who are our senators. We looked at how long are you elected. President is elected for 4 years, representatives for 2 years, senators for 6 years. If you do have the time this evening and you want to look back over your notes, maybe take 30 seconds and look at some of those important names. Tom Petri, Herb Kohl, Barack Obama, Joe Biden. Take a moment, if you have time, and look over your notes. Otherwise, we'll see you in class tomorrow, and have a good evening.